Happy Thursday! Welcome to the Scoop World Order. It sucks to be right all the time edition, but yeah, this Michigan thing is looking pretty bad for these guys, and the national media is turning on them. And it's great to see because we've had this thing for a long time. And by we, I specifically mean Nevada. He had this thing nailed. Me as the supporting cast saying that, look, guys, 6 level 1 violations is not good. I don't care what you guys think, but there are some people that are dumb and they just keep rolling along with it, and it kind of is what it is. But hey, it's ain't looking too good for those guys. And these national media people are starting to catch up and saying, yeah, this ain't going to end well for them. So with that being said, as always, we appreciate you guys being a huge part of our show. We're going to do a little film breakdown today, some of the national championship stuff. We're also going to just take your questions again. Keep paying it forward. We appreciate all of our armed, or excuse me, our armed force members, our firefighters, our police officers, any of you guys that are helping this community out, first responders. Again, you saw the tragedy yesterday with the Black Hawk helicopter hitting a commercial airlines. I mean, that's just horrific. The thoughts and prayers. But again, you see the first responders on the scene immediately in the face of tragedy, and it just reminds you every day of what these people deal with. And again, if you guys pay it forward, if you guys, we've got our pay it forward program, which is set up for those folks to be able to get memberships on buckeyescoop.com, complimentary of the people that are contributing to pay it forward. So thank you for that. We've signed a ton of you guys up. It's one of our proudest things that we do. And again, we just like to take care of you guys, and we appreciate you guys donating to that. Again, love you guys to death. This thing has been ungodly good. What a run it's been, really, since this Michigan stuff broke about a year and a half ago. And the show has just become the #1 show in the country for our market, our genre, dominating the Ohio State scene. And it's been a lot of fun. So we really appreciate you guys, and we don't take you guys for granted. So with that being said, Nevada, our old friend, Matt Haynes is a guy, he hates Urban Meyer worse than any human being hates anybody, I don't think, but he wrote a pretty scathing piece about the Michigan deal. A lot of these national people are turning. I saw Feinbaum's going in on him, Bielema. Again, we've been talking about Jim Harbaugh running and all of these staffers running to Los Angeles, and the director of football operations, the girl running to Los Angeles. And I was just like, there's not, they're the defending national champions, yet the bookstore goes out of business and is bankrupt. Like I said, if I owned one of those bookstores, if I owned Buckeye Corner right now, I'd be on probably like a month-long, all you can drink cruise, in the Royal Caribbean penthouse suite on the biggest boat they got. But instead, they can't make their rent, which is crazy. But I don't know, Nevada. It's getting pretty dark up there. But again, like when everybody leaves a team that won the national championship, that's so just it's something that's never happened at any level. I mean, you usually lose a coordinator, maybe a coach or two. Obviously, you're going to lose players because it's natural, but to lose everybody except for Sharon Moore is insane. Where are you at? Because again, this thing, it's delightful just to see how this thing's been churning about. What are your thoughts?
Well, yeah, Matt Hayes is a famous Ohio State hater, famous Urban Meyer hater. I believe he was the one. I want to go back to my memory banks, but I think he was the one that thought that like Miami would beat Ohio State in the 2002 national championship game, like some ridiculous 100-0 or some ridiculous score like that. But I could be mistaken. But he wrote a really good article today, kind of going through how Michigan has just destroyed their legacy, how they've destroyed everything that they supposedly stood for, and how they continue to defend it, they continue to deflect, they continue to try to justify the unjustifiable, and now they're staring down 6 level 1 violations, and it leaves you to a couple of questions. One, remember, this is only the part that Michigan leaked to Yahoo. So, like, what else is? And they only leaked the good parts, and this is already in there. And so now you've got Matt Hayes, you've got Paul Feinbaum, you've got Mike Farrell Sports, you've got Brett Bielema. I mean, it's going to be more and more. One of my favorite sayings is "a little first, then all at once." Well, that's what's kind of happening with Michigan. And with Michigan, it's fun when you read through their response and you go through the things. There's just so many. They're talking about how they refute 8 of the 11 charges, and they only scouted 8 games. And one of the big things they're asking for right now is they're asking for like a pre-hearing to try to identify the whistleblower, the guy that turned them in, that doing it, and they're citing an NCAA violation or a statute. I don't know what the exact statute number is right here, but basically, they're claiming that the NCAA has a statute that says they have to be able to identify their accuser, and so they want the identity of the whistleblower, which if you ask me, do they know the identity already? I think they do, but somehow they want to out this person publicly. I don't, maybe they don't, maybe they do, who knows? But they're making this big thing about the whistleblower, and they're completely misreading the statute. The statute does not say that it has, it says that the NCAA cannot proceed on the basis of like unnamed, like rumors. The NCAA can't pursue stuff and use that evidence, rumors of misconduct by somebody. They have to have a name to attach to it, and the NCAA does have the name. They, whether they've shared that with Michigan or whether Michigan knows it's not. But I mean, for Michigan to make this big deal out, they have to be able to identify the whistleblower. No, that's not. It's literally not what it says. And I found that really kind of striking. That I know they're trying to make arguments, but they're literally arguing something that the NCAA statute doesn't even say. And so for Michigan now, I'm just not sure where they go from here. I know that they've been stalling the release of the formal notice of allegations that was served back in August. Media is hounding them every day for them to put that. There's probably going to end up being a lawsuit over that to try to get them to produce that. But they're 60 days away from an NCAA response. Another 90 days past that from a full hearing. This is all going to come crashing down on them. They're trying to refute the very organization that is going to be judging them. So like they didn't feel like the enforcement committee knows the rules, or the enforcement committee wasn't like, if their defense is, hey, we can scout 8 games, but these other 50 games where Connor Stallions paid family and friends to do this, they don't count because those weren't Michigan employees. That is the most ridiculous argument. But they're actually making that argument. I mean, that is the centerpiece of their defense, is that if you use third parties, if you use intermediaries, that you can get away with it. That the NCAA statutes don't apply because it's a third party performing the act at your direction and at your financing. And as you've mentioned many times, where was the money coming from this? Where was the money coming? Well, we know where the money was coming from. That real Talkman, Mr. T, Uncle T, the Bubba T, whatever his name was, he was bragging on social media after the 2021 game about how his little pet project with Connor Stallions was bearing fruit and how happy they were, how it worked out, and blah blah blah. I mean, he's been unashamed about that. And he was sitting down. He was a current member of a University of Michigan affiliated board. They dismissed him from that board summarily, but they still didn't turn the evidence in. So this Michigan board knew about what he was doing and still didn't turn him in. NCAA, just part of this massive cover up there at Michigan on the scandal. And as people, the cope from Michigan fans is, oh, it's just Ohio State fans that care, and oh, it's just Ohio State fans and Michigan State fans that care, and now it's Michigan State and Ohio State and Illinois fans that care. Well, now the national media is kind of cluing into this. And this is before even the notice of allegations has been, because the notice of allegations is damning for Michigan, because all you're seeing now is Michigan's rebuttal to it. You haven't even seen the other side's case, which is 85% more than what Michigan has provided. And I think once that hits the national media, this thing's going to break. It's going to be an absolute tsunami of bad press for Michigan. I just don't know where they go from here. And for Michigan fans, man, worst case scenario, Ohio State wins the national championship. Ryan Day gets the monkey off his back, and Michigan gets hit with the full force and fury of the NCAA. And bad times to be a Michigan fan, but I'm loving every minute of it.
Yeah, I just think that when you go through this process, obviously the attorneys are hard to defend, so they're gonna try to say as many crazy things as well. If they don't work for the university, how can it be advanced scouting? And because again, like with all of this, there had to be a cloud system to upload the film to, that Connor could download the film to, so that he could watch this stuff side by side, break the signals down. He had to bring more people in because, again, it's a slippery slope, man. When you want to cover all these games and you're obsessed with beating Ohio State, like, you got to have someone to go to basically every Ohio State game. Like when they caught Stallions and fired him, like, he'd already had 7 games of Ohio State signals, and they found Michigan State. He went on the sideline for the Central Michigan game. He was up against it. And then on top of that, this is a costly endeavor. This thing I kept saying to myself, I was like, GAs and young coaches are so poor that it's just comical. And again, that's just part of the rite of passage of being poor. Like when you're a young coach, man, I mean, they pay you. We had when I worked those GAs, we have interns that make zero, that are volunteer coaches, that are they're students at Ohio State. They want to get into coaching. And they literally don't pay them anything. So it's like we had guys that sleep in the office and we got this closet that leads out to by the indoor. Guys would sleep in there at night. And so they're not in the market for buying premium tickets to premium games. A lot of you guys just went on this magic carpet ride that was the playoffs, and you guys are going from the Rose Bowl, expensive, Cotton Bowl, expensive, National Championship, most expensive ticket of all time. And, so that's obviously a higher bar, but dude, when you're talking about going to like a premium Georgia game, or even just the Ohio State games, and you're sitting lower level, middle of the field, you're closer to the middle of the field, kind of the most premium view, because the guys with the cameras gonna be able to get the shot of the signalers now. Insanely expensive, so I was always like, where's this money coming from? Someone's got to sign off on this, and somebody had to introduce him to Connor. But all these coaches knew what was going on, and that was the thing, is like, when they tried to paint him as a lone wolf, I'm like, dude, again, I've been on the sideline, I've been in the press box, because I've coached. Like, I coached at Ohio State. You guys all know that, and it's something where I would never walk up to, Jim Tressel as a quality control coach during the game for the entire game, the way that he was standing next to Jim Harbaugh. There's just no way. Tressel's got his play sheet. He's in the zone. He's locked in, and I'm a QC. I've never seen any QC or intern or whatever do anything like that. So if you're doing something like that, it's because they know you, they know what you can bring, they know what you're stealing, and they know that you're very accurate. So they know the whole process, because you're not going to be, Jesse Minter or Sharon Moore, any of these other morons, and say, well, I'm going to base my livelihood, my career off of your picking of the signs. How good are you, and how are you better than everybody else? Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Coach. I've got my manifesto here where I detail how I send stringers to go get the film, and then I sit down and I crack the code, and for hours I just watch tape and figure out, okay, well, this is the play for motion, this is the play for split, or this is the formation, this is the coverage on defense, this is the front, this is the blitz, this is, because again, it's not really that hard, especially when you have film systems like Ohio State and Michigan has. Like, you can sort everything by every film cut up based upon like a certain blitz, a certain front, a certain coverage on offense, a certain formation, a certain route concept, a certain running play. So it would be super easy to do once you got into it. So that's what he did. And like I said, this is really bad. This is me and Nevada going to the win in Las Vegas, and me saying, Nevada, I've got the little transponder thing. You just, tape this to your thigh, and you'll feel the beeps, and I'll let you know when the guy's got aces or kings, and I'll do the little Morse code thing to you, and you can figure it out, and you'll never lose. And all of a sudden, when you win a bunch of money and they drag you into the back like in casino and they break your hand, then all of a sudden you're just like, well, maybe that wasn't a good move. But that's what this is. Like, it's that level of of an edge. And again, people that don't understand how big of an edge this is are just people that are just dumb. I mean, like guys, like you guys have never coached, never played. You don't realize like if a team knows what the exact play is, it's over. You know, again, like when I had to run scout team, which is that's all the backups, and I'm running whoever the opponent's plays. I'm running Notre Dame's plays versus our offense. There would be times where Jim Bowman or Daryl Hazel or whoever would tell me to make a blitz. You know, you draw up the blitz, and I would look at the protection, and I would look at the blitzes that they had that was either on the board or something that maybe we hadn't scouted, or maybe they ran one time, and I could design a blitz that there was no way we could pick up, no chance. And I would do it, man. It would be my I couldn't wait for that flex. We would get home, man, and it was like the jackpot, because I would see, okay, they're sliding this way, the back's over here. I can overload that side. They won't be able to flip it because they're not going to see the keys, and I'd get home. So again, like that's the same thing as again knowing the play. Like when you know the play, man, and you can attack it, even if you can only do it half the time, it's going to be devastating to the opponent. Nevada, any more thoughts on that? I'll break a play down here in a second, but yeah, the Michigan thing is going to be. I mean, I don't know how much. Probably is 100 pounds from the victory lap on that one, just because we've been so steadfast about these guys getting hammered, and there's people that are dumb, like, oh, nothing's gonna happen, hammer's not coming. I'm like, guys, like 6 level 1 violations, like that's like, you know, that's a mass murder charge. You know, that's not a parking ticket, that's not a jaywalking, that's a mass murder. So nothing's gonna happen to this mass murder with the machine gun and in his hands and blood all over him and DNA everywhere. Like, no, it's coming, and it'll be the best day in Scoop history. I mean, that'll probably be as good as winning the national title when that happens, because I can't wait. Your thoughts about it? We'll break down a little bit of tape.
Well, one, I got two things. One, I really don't believe that there's anybody that doesn't believe it was a huge advantage. I mean, they may say that that may be their public thing, but anybody with a functioning brain and an IQ over 50 knows that it's a huge. I mean, when you're playing little Kirk in Madden and he's crying because you're looking at his plays and then running the blitzes in there and stuff like that, you're teaching him a valuable lesson there, Kirk. You know what I'm saying? You're saying to him, "Hey, son, Dad knows more than you do about football, and I'm going to show you. And this is life isn't fair sometimes. So Daddy's going to blitz right into where you're running every time. I'm going to stop you." But that's kind of what it was with Connor Stallions and all this stuff. And you know, the second thing is, has there ever been a group of insiders that have been more wrong than the Michigan beat on this thing? And the guys, you know, Ballas and Fat Sam Webb and all those other guys, like I honestly do not know how people pay for their services, and I'm really curious. Maybe people can put in the comments, how are they defending the stuff that they were saying? They were saying all along this thing originated from Ryan Day's brother committing treason and breaking into the Michigan servers and, you know, doing this. And it was like, no, it was from a Michigan source all along, which is what we told you from day one on this. But you know that Jim Harbaugh was, you know, signing back up the contract. He was flying back to sign the contract. He was extending, and that this was nothing. I mean, they've been wrong at every step. And I just wonder, I mean, how do they defend? Because I know the insider business is hard. You and I live it every day. We live the insider business. But if I was this wrong, I literally would quit the business. I would quit. I would just like get out of the business, because I couldn't stand the shame of being that wrong about everything. And it has to be purposeful, because I don't think people could really be that dumb. And you look at the 6 level 1, and I know that if Ohio State was facing something like this, I really, really, truly believe that we'd be a little bit more pragmatic about it. We'd be like, you know something, we screwed up. There, you know, I wouldn't completely roll over and, you know, take all, but I'd be like, guys, there's no defending this. So I think for Michigan fans, it's like, just stop defending the indefensible, man. Just own it. Own the fact that you guys cheated. You cheated to you were desperate. You were just getting absolutely stuffed in the locker by Ohio State. You'd lost 17 out of 19 years. Ryan Day literally was going to hang 100 on you, and you decided to come down with the whooping cough or whatever the hell you guys came up with. And then the next year, you just started the biggest cheating scandal in the history of college football, because Jim Harbaugh said you would do anything, include die on the field, to beat Ohio State. Well, that's what you did. You sold your soul. You sold the program. You cheated. But at least do yourself a little bit of credit and just admit it. Just you finally admit it. Finally admit that 6 level 1 violations is terrible, and the hammer is coming in right soon. And you guys, like I said last night, you're getting the hammer, and you're getting the hammer sideways now, guys, because you're past the time to settle. And so now it's, for you at least, move to acceptance as quickly as you can. Otherwise, this thing's just going to hurt longer and longer and longer for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the insiders from Michigan were just breathtaking during this thing, because they kept saying that nothing's coming and it's just taking. But I'm like, this is a major investigation. This is no different than like a major trial, a major murder trial. Like they don't do it overnight. I mean, it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of defending. There's a lot of what did you know? When did you know it? And again, in the Stallions documentary, when they interview him, when the NCAA is literally interviewing Connor, he doesn't do himself any favors, because he's like, well, I don't know. And I don't know if that's me, and it could be me. Maybe it's me. I don't know if that's me. And they're literally showing a photo of him on the sideline at Central Michigan with the spy glasses on. And someone had outed him for sure. The guy from Central Michigan who got fired right away, I'm sure had said, oh yeah, that's Connor. And yeah, so when Connor's sitting there acting like an idiot, like he's probably already been outed. But I don't know. It's interesting. Like I said, the whistleblower, it just feels like it's potentially either Mike Hart or Matty Dudek, or it's one of these guys that was like a Michigan guy that is gone, that is away from the pack, so to speak. Like it's not one of the guys that Harbaugh took with him for sure, because I mean he wouldn't be taking him with him if he was a whistleblower. And it's also not like I don't know why the Mike Hart thing, it just seems like it's just right there, because he didn't land anywhere. And that's the thing that I can't get over, that a guy who was the running game coordinator for the national champions that ran for 1 million yards and coach is Blake Corum's and Donovan Edwards' position coach and whatever, and he didn't land anywhere. Really? Like he didn't get a MAC job? He didn't get an analyst job for an NFL team? Like nothing? That's the one where it just doesn't make any sense at all. Like I mean, there's got to be something strange, because I mean he was working his way up the ladder, and like I said, I'm sure, being a former player, that he was upset that they promoted Sharon Moore to be the head coach over him, because they're about the same age, and obviously Mike played there and was a legend, so to speak, and Sharon didn't. But I don't know, like that's the one that I don't understand why he doesn't have a job, unless people know that this is what happened. And again, when you read that article and the Rutgers staffer detailed everything, and I'm sure Mike knew, but I'm sure he knew about what Connor was doing. But when a Rutgers staffer details everything, because the thing about these coaches in the Big Ten is there's a lot of little cliques in the Big Ten of guys that support each other and guys that are friendly behind the scenes. And this was a great way to turn literally everybody against Michigan. So they all kind of rallied against each other. And I would bet that they probably had, they talked about what they knew and what they saw. And, like the most damning press conference of all time to me was like James Franklin. And I've listened to this clip 1,000 times to the point where I can recite it, where he talks about how, it's 3rd and 1, and, they go heavy personnel, which is like 3 tight ends and a fullback. And, they actually call a play action shot play, like a deep shot. And for some reason, Michigan's in cover 2, which is 2 high safeties, which is the perfect defense to cover a shot play. You don't normally play your safeties 2 deep versus 3 tight ends, unless you know what the play is. And he goes through it, and he's like, that's just too perfect of a call, because based upon everything we'd done in the season, everything we'd scouted, everything, our short yardage tendencies, there's just no way that you wouldn't load the box and try to stop our running game, because it was like, we ran 98% of the time. So you're not going to ever think we're going to take a shot there, but they did, and Michigan stopped it. And that's like when it's a little too good to be true. That's when you're just like, yeah, maybe they know what we're calling. And so, and again, Greg Schiano going crazy on the sidelines at halftime that one game. It's just, these guys all knew. And these coaches, like I said, this costs coaches and athletic directors their jobs. these performances against Michigan. Like, I mean, Ryan Day cleaned house after that 21 game, fired Stud, fired Kerry Combs, then brings in Jim Knowles. I mean, but like losing that Michigan game, it costs jobs, costs CJ the Heisman, and it's all because they were cheating. So it's just I don't know, it's terrible. All right, Nevada, let's go into the film machine. We're gonna start with the first play of the game on offense for us. I think we're down 7-0 to start it off because they got the ball first. I remember. Let me wind this thing back real quick. 7-0 after a 10-minute drive. Nevada, you were in the building. Nevada, were you nervous at all?
I mean, I'm going to be honest. I really turned to I was with my kids, and I turned to them and I go, "That's not sustainable. The way Notre Dame's playing right now is not sustainable. You're not going to be able to play that way. If we can answer it all, Notre Dame's done, because you're not going to be able to keep running the quarterback, converting fourth downs, and do it down the field." So I knew. I literally said that at the time. I really felt strongly about that, and here we go.
Yeah, and I always say in the running game, if you're going to play too high, you're going to die. So this guy, JJ, makes these guys play two deep safeties. So we started off with a very simple play, our little duo play, which is duo is just a double team, up, double team, up, backside cutoff, double team here. And they motion Emeka to play basically fullback, and you put him on the force guy, the corner. He's right here. So this is great because Donnie, I love Donnie to death. Donnie's laid off the ball by almost a whole. I mean, look, you watch Luke how quick he's off the ball. Luke's really good on this. Donnie's late, and then he blocks the wrong play. So Donnie gets a misassignment on the first play of the game. I've been there 74. I appreciate you, my dude. So he blocks the wrong guy because these two are supposed to be working to these two, and Donnie instead they do a triple team here out to him. Doesn't really matter, but the problem is if Donnie blocks the right guy, now again, the hard part here is that this guy goes right to the A gap. So Carson has to take him, even though that's not his assignment. He can't bypass this guy. That's an A gap blitzer, but Donnie might be able to sneak up here and pick this guy off. So this guy is the backside linebacker, or he's I guess he'd be the Mike. Yeah, I mean, well, this is your Will. Here's your Mike. Here's your Sam. If you're going to the field. So the Sam ends up coming, and he's the guy that makes the play. So this is the guy that Donnie would have gone to if he had gone the right direction, but he went the wrong way. And if he picks him off, Mecca just has to get in the way of this corner. And then if he's out of the photo, then this is Trey versus this poor safety, in the middle of the field. So yeah, it does not start off great for Notre Dame. A little ominous here, but really good stuff here to start. Again, this is a real easy, starter play. I mean, they're in. I can't tell if these are, and this looks like three linebackers. Again, they're matching our two tight ends here. But this is super, super easy stuff. And Chip loves doing this because, you could put him on a corner, put Mecca on a corner, because he doesn't have to kill the guy. He just has to run into him and deflect him a little bit, which is what he does. But you in the perfect world, you've got these two. I mean, this isn't really hard. Him and G working up to here, combination. You get these two working duo to here, and duo just means it's the double team. This is like the Pittsburgh Steelers should play, and you just cut off. Super easy for Josh. Super easy starter play. Again, you don't know what you're going to get. You don't have to know Notre Dame's going to blitz you on first down. So real easy. It's basically like a zone play, but it's from the power family. It's like a no pull power. Normally the guard would pull and you double team. But yeah, so it's funny. So we're almost right because G's going the right way, but Donnie's he's just on cloud 9 here, so he doesn't go to the right guy, which is fine. Again, this happens in games. Sometimes you get a little excited, but if Donnie takes this guy out of the photo and trades places with Carson, because again, Carson is working back to him, but this guy blitzes right in the gap, so Carson doesn't really have a choice. I mean, he's got to take him. He's kind of just waddling up, and this guy's supposed to flow over, and he's supposed to flow over, and yeah, but instead it's AFK. But again, this is really close to splitting. So good job, good start, and we still get 6. That's the thing is when I tell you guys it doesn't have to be 6 pancake blocks across the board to get us to get us rolling. Like that's a play where literally our best player on the O line got a missed assignment, went the wrong way, and we still got 6 yards. So I mean, sometimes Trey's speed and skill is a huge edge for us. And I'll get a couple other plays going, but Nevada, what are your thoughts on that? Because I love watching some of these plays, because when you have a back like Trey Henderson, like, man, you just gotta cover these guys up, man. It doesn't need to be 7 pancake blocks and carcasses all over the ground. It's like, if you cover these guys up with Trey, man, he's gonna make you look good. What are your thoughts on our first play of the game?
Well, what I love is, like, first play of the game, you run that play, and if Notre Dame stops it, then it's like, oh my gosh, Chip Kelly and Ryan Day are choking. They're running, and they stopped it. And what are we doing? And we're gagging. But it goes for 6 yards. So I was like, okay, good way to establish the run. But I just love how these little narratives start, on every play. That every play is some sort of rebuttal on Ryan Day's state of mind, or Chip Kelly's internal constitution, or something like that. It's not just as simple as, hey, we're going to run the ball and see where we go. And on that play, we triple teamed the right defensive end for Notre Dame. Still got 6 yards, but yeah, I think that entire drive, it seemed like Ohio State could pretty much dictate whatever they wanted to. I think we only had 1 third down. I mean, if I remember it right, I only remember one time where it was kind of not dicey, but kind of close on that drive. And it felt easy moving down the field like that, and certainly set a tone for the entire game. And hey, I'm got a little close at the end, but up. We're up 31-7 at some point. That was a pretty good way to start.
Yeah, and I'm going to go to the next play, because this is going to be one of my pet peeves, which, again, I'm not perfect, and I know that why we do it, because we throw, all the time, but it drives me crazy when we've got a tight end on the line adjacent to the tackle, and he's in a 3-point, or he's in a 2-point. So a 3-point stance is what Luke's in. He's got his hand on the ground. A 2-point, he's hunched up like this. Because I could never do this as a tackle, because when you're doing this double team with Luke, and Luke's doubling back, and Luke should probably be in here a little heavier. Luke's footwork's great. I'd be in there a little heavier. Now this guy kind of dodges him a little bit. But Donnie is just in the stance, like, when you start that high, you only get higher. So by the time you get rolling, and again, like, I think Luke needs to lean into this a little bit more and get firmer there. But Donnie is so high that it screws the whole play up, because Carson's fine on the back look, but Tigra's trying to pull through, and he can't do anything because there's so much penetration here because Donnie's so high. And again, I would cheat. This split to me is way too big. Now I get you might tip it off a little bit, but I'd be like, screw it, I got to get this block. I don't give a shit. And so I'm going to cut this split down about right there. And I mean, I think that's too big. So these guys get split here, penetration in the backfield. So this play is dead. Just because of that. And again, I love Donnie. I think he's great. But when these guys are up in these run blocking scenarios, like, this never ends well. So this penetration screws us up. And again, this double team could be a lot better. Luke, I think Luke's too quick to get up there. I'd hang for another second to make sure Donnie can get on this thing. But again, Luke, you can see how fluid Luke is. Like, he can boogie. Like, he's going to be a real good player for us next year. But yeah, I gotta probably break this first drive down, but I think that this line has a shot to be as good, if not better, than this past year, depending on our tackles. Our interior guys are all going to get better. They're all young. They're improving. I'm sure that their confidence is sky high. I think that they can get in, some of the guys can get in a little bit better shape, but they're in, I mean, the way that they played coming down the stretch was honestly amazing. Like, I mean, like I said, Luke didn't play the whole year basically, and then he ends up starting the national championship and really playing really well, and Austin Sourville is really good, and Tigra, and I just wonder if, do you let one of them compete for the right tackle spot? Do you give it right to Philip Daniels? Like, I don't know, because when you've got 4 good guys on the interior, do you let one of them try for tackle? What are your thoughts on that, Nevada?
Well, I mean, I think this is one of the blessings we talked last night, about going to player number 9 this year, and how what a first of all what an amazing accomplishment it was, and how unusual, but tenant blessing of this whole thing. We got guys we wouldn't ordinarily gotten. You know, that'd be Josh Fryer, Tegra, Seth, Donnie Jackson, and then that line leaves, and who do you got left? You got Tegra. We've got Tegra coming back. We've got Austin coming back, and we got Carson coming back, all with big game experience. Like the biggest possible games in Ohio State history type of experience, and 2 incoming guys, portal guys at the tackles. So you said last night you think Ohio State's got the chance to be one of the best, if not the best, offensive line in the country. I completely agree with you. And what a transformation. There's always good that comes out of bad. The bad is we lost those guys. The good is we won the freaking national championship with the backups, and the backups are all young, and that's going to pay huge dividends down the stretch for us, and especially up the middle. I've always believed if you've got a veteran center, up the middle, I think obviously the tackles are paramount, but for me it always starts with the center. And to have a guy like Carson now, who's got sophomore eligibility, going to be a junior next year, and how many starts does he have in his belt now? 20, something like that, and 10 games against top 5 opponents or whatever. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And the future is so bright for Ohio State, but born out of necessity, man. Those guys were asked to prepare and perform and do it when the lights were shining brightest, and they were able to do it. And it's really going to pay huge dividends for us in 2025.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think when you've got some of these guys that are really getting a lot of time during the playoffs, it's just such a huge benefit when you see what these guys end up doing and how it all works. And I don't know, like I'm so happy for these guys, because they really did come on strong coming down the stretch. Really did a nice job. So I don't know, like I think this line could be something ferocious as you get into as you get into spring ball. Part of me is worried about, do you keep all of them? Because you can't guarantee a starting spot but you've got 4 guys that are starter national champion level starters. So it's like, that's difficult, to me. I don't know. Like it's an interesting study right now, because we've got, get Nevadabuck in here before I start this. Sorry. All right, he's back, but I love watching these guys on tape. And go to another play in this series. This wind back was something that they loved running, where you see, they want to check to see if we've got man. So you got Ennis. Ennis comes in. The corner doesn't go, so you can tell it's zone. They bump over. He doesn't go running over there with him like he would if he was in man. So it's a zone. It's a zone concept here. And you watch Will Howard again. Fields the snap. Hands it off, and again, this is a play that I believe, it's designed for Ennis to come here, take the corner, and him to wind this thing back over here. But Trey feels some heat, because they run an A-gap pressure here with their good linebacker, and Trey is just, he's so damn good. Oh my god, people didn't think this guy was. This guy's a first-round running back. I don't know how he's not the number 1 running back on every draft board, but again, I don't know. He's the guy. I'm taking him in every fantasy league, and I can't wait, because watch this. So they run an A-gap pressure here. 34, who's their best guy. He runs a pressure. And again, this is what I always talk about. Like, it's not pancakes across the board. It's just, cover the guys up. So Donnie he ends up, thinking it's a double team, ends up being a solo block because this guy stunts out. He stunts over. Austin Sarville takes him, kind of runs him out of the play. Easy cutoff here. And Luke has to get off on this thing pretty quick. Carson, this is a cluster where you've got guys running through here. He's got to get skinny and get a piece of this guy. So his, he doesn't have the wide feet like you'd like to be able to kind of absorb the blow. But he gets up there and gets enough of them. So again, you look at this and, Luke gets a piece here. Carson gets just enough, kind of gets bumped back. But the guy that does this is Trey. Trey hits this cut right here. And again, people that are dumb that have ever said anything bad about Trey Henderson or just don't know anything about football. You got Ennis coming through as the lead blocker. Again, I think that this is supposed to wind all the way back here and follow the lead blocker, but he feels this pressure and he doesn't like it. So he at this moment, he's probably thinking that this guy might be through here. So he just puts his foot in the ground and makes this cut and winds this thing all the way back. Look at this little jump cut. Boom, boom. And then he just, he evades, Donnie's guy who's reaching out, gets skinny, hits the Jets, and it's a huge gain. And again, that's Trey. That is so good by him. I'm going to run this back one more time so you guys can see it again in full speed. But he finds daylight. And people used to criticize his vision. I was like, look at this vision. He reads all of this. And again, we don't have a single, Austin does great. This guy, this guy's kind of stunning himself out of the play because they're running this where this guy goes here, this guy goes here. But Austin uses his momentum and kind of drives him out of the picture. And Austin does a great job of finishing blocks. Austin's got this guy. This guy's in, he's almost back to the grotto. But again, Trey is the guy that will miss severely next year. As much as I like the potential of Donaldson, and as much as I really like James Peoples, people don't realize how good Trey is. And they really don't. Again, when I watch this film, it really shows you the granular, this is how close this was to being a zero play versus, a hero play. And Trey's that dude, man. Any thoughts, Nevada?
Yeah, we're gonna miss them. To have Quinshawn and Trey in the backfield, one of the best duos in Ohio State history, and to go to relatively certainly unproven guys at Ohio State, it's going to be a big drop off. But that's going to be across the board. 2025 is going to be a different kind of year. It's going to be a fun year from a standpoint. 2024 was such a veteran team. The most talented OSU roster. A lot of people thought ever. That's what Jim Tressel said. That's what Urban Meyer said. That's what you and I had both said. Most talented rosters that we'd ever seen. And then they go and win the Natty. And so 2025 is going to be a different kind of team. You're going to have some veteran leadership, but man, you're going to have a lot of young guys too, and a lot of young talented guys that just haven't had a chance to play. But yeah, you're going to miss Trey Henderson. Will not be fully appreciated until he's gone and starring in the NFL. Which I think whatever team gets him is getting an absolute superstar person and player as well. So I think they're really going to hit the jackpot on that one.
Yeah, I agree. He's a guy that if he goes to the right place, man, he'd be a Pro Bowler as a rookie. So I always dream that he goes to the Chiefs. If he goes somewhere like that, where they need him and they feed him, and he'll go against Pacheco and those guys, and he's 10 times more talented than Pacheco is. Kareem Hunt, he'd be just devastating there. I always talk about plays that I love where the offensive line doesn't have to block anybody. This is one of them. This is just a naked. And again, Chip loves to do the window dressing, get Quinshawn in here. And, you motion, you get, G is flexed out. You motion him in to kind of seal this edge. This is like a playoff for the offensive line. This is a play where it's super easy. Basically everybody just turns. We used to call this elephants on parade. Literally, that's what we called it, because you basically just turn and run to the right. That's what everybody does. The backside tackle has to seal this guy. He can't take a vacation like the rest of the guys do. You get your fake this way, and then Will Howard pulls it, boots out. You've got G. He kind of seals this end for a second, and then he spins out and leaks as the last guy. But again, none of these guys really have to block anybody. They just run sideways, and you run into whoever you get, and kind of is what it is. And and if you can take a shot like Austin is, Austin does a good job here. Austin's trying to kill this guy, which is good. If you get that free shot, go kill the guy, put him on the ground if you can. But again, for Will, Donnie's got to block somebody, and Jesus got to get in the way for a millisecond. And then the rest of it's just Will being an athlete, rolling left, throwing a dime. Again, that's a hard throw. He's rolling left as a righty, and just drops a dime in there. But those are the kinds of plays that I'd always stress, like when we were playing Tennessee and we're playing these really good offenses, like that's the play where the offensive line doesn't have to block anybody. One guy has to make a block. Donnie has to make a very easy seal block. But that's not empty protection, 3rd and 10, like they're sending the house and you got to hang in there versus a really good player. Like that's simple. And that was a play that in 2006 when we played the Texas Longhorns and they famously pulled the offensive line the third series to put the backups in. We ran 2 of those because we knew that we couldn't put those guys in there and have them block Frank Oakham and Crowder, and those guys were 2nd round picks. Crowder was a projected 1st round pick going into the year, and I thought he stunk, which was, again, that's why those preseason draft rankings are hilarious, because when he was a projected 1st round pick and I played him against the whole game the year before, I was like, he's terrible. But those are the kind of plays you can run. Nevada, your thoughts? Because like the naked is like every offensive lineman's favorite play because you really can't screw it up and it's super easy to block. Your thoughts on that? And also Will's throw too.
Yeah, well, scheme forever and ever, man. Scheme will always, great talent can be doomed by scheme, but scheme can make mediocre talent look great. So, God bless Chip Kelly. God bless Brian Day for getting Chip Kelly and running those plays. And it's, I've always kind of scoffed at the notion that you need to have 7 blocks of granite up front to make every play perfect and execute. And I think when you show plays like that, it's like, man, those guys literally didn't have to block anybody. Like literally didn't have to block anybody. It was all on Will to roll out and square his shoulders and throw a dime. And what was that, a 12, 15-yard game? So yeah. Big play, but made it easy.
This is why I love Q run. Again, I'm just doing the first drive because this is like a master class from Chip Kelly. So these guys, they jump down into kind of a bearish type front. I mean, he's in a 4-eye. He's in a 4-eye. You got your nose here, edges here. This is kind of a bear defense. You got your Mike right in the middle here. Got your safety down right here. So what's the best thing in the world to run against this? The quarterback, of course. So, when you run this, when you run this quarterback, if you just count, so here's 3, 4, 5, there's 7 guys, right? So just by a number count, you've got 6 right here, and you got Quinshon at 7. So you have 7 guys on defense, and you have 7 blockers potentially if you're on the quarterback. So what do we decide to do? We run the quarterback. Why? Because the defense is a guy short. Why are they a guy short? Because we have JJ. If you have JJ, you better honor him because you're not going to put JJ out there totally on an island. Like they're still going to play a deep safety somewhere. And here's JJ. So when JJ's down here, the safety's going to be here. He's going to have one of his eyeballs glued over there. So instead of bringing him down in the box where he could help out and even the numbers out, and you truly put these guys in cover 0, which is basically man-to-man across the board, no safety help, you leave him back there. And again, this is why you pay JJ all that money. He's not even part of the play, but he occupies the safety. So then you end up having a 7-on-7, and Will Howard, the only guy that can hit Will Howard is this guy, and he's 20 yards off the ball, and he trips, but I mean, the safety's the guy's gonna have to come down and make the play after we've gained, a 1st down. So you watch this, and again, Austin Seyerveld, little late, footwork's a little wonky here. Again, this is, he's a little late off the ball. So he like spins like a top here and the hole barely touches this guy, but gets enough of him. Yeah. But again, I mean, this is, when you're running this kind of Q power play here where you're blocking out, Josh Fry's got to get here. Quinshon's leading there. You've got enough guys. Everyone's covered, at this moment, every single guy, except for the guy Austin kind of whiffs on who can't make the play anyways, is covered up. So if you're Will, you're squirting through here, and again, it's him versus safety. And again, I'm glad he gets down and doesn't take a huge hit there. So, but again, this is really good by Josh Fryer. He kind of muscles this guy and kind of wheels him there. That's really good by Josh. Luke shows how he's a really good athletic puller. Could hit him a little bit more square, but he gets enough of them to get him to squirt through. And again, football, it's not all just a perfect clinic tape, but this is you get enough of the guys, and and Quinshon's willing. I mean, Quinshon's finding work here. I mean, Quinshon's not scared. So I love Quinshon and Trey because they're the 2 best blocking guys we've had since Zeke. Here's Will Kazmarek in the hole. I mean, Quinshon puts it on this guy pretty good right here. So, like I'm saying, these guys are the scheme is so critical in the running game because again, we've talked about in the past, and I lived it sometimes where we would, we were very easy to stop because we ran predictable plays and heavy boxes, and we didn't have a quarterback that could run. We had Troy obviously who could run, but Troy in '06 did not want to run. He wanted to be a pocket guy, which is fine. I mean, he deserves that. Ray can do whatever he wants. Did some running, but not as much as in '05. But when you have a quarterback that can run, that's what opens up for you. Like, if you got Peyton Manning, you can't run that Q power lead play there. And it's hard to stop. I mean, when we needed it, man, we ran well hard in that championship, and it was conversion. Nevada, what are your thoughts?
Well, yeah. I mean, the QB run is not, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And yeah, I mean, Quinshawn, his blocking, underrated good. Just set a tone. Every time he went out there and just laid it on somebody, it just set a tone for the entire team. That's a tribute to Coach Locke. And in that clip, you also had Will Kazmarek. Will Kazmarek coming back for next year, underrated goodness. I know you may say, oh, well, it's just a tight end. What difference does it make? He doesn't really. But, I mean, Will Kazmarek gets after it blocking. He's a really, really good blocker. And that's stuff that you don't really notice until you notice it. And I was excited to hear him coming back for another year because when he got here, early reports were, it's just kind of just a guy. And he turned out to be way more than just a guy. I mean, I thought our running game took a noticeable step back when he was out and a noticeable step up when he was in. So I'm really excited about him coming back for another year next year. I think that that may be one of the underrated storylines of the season, frankly.
The one thing I've learned about a lot of people that evaluate talent or think they evaluate talent, like from a team website standpoint or whatever, is that when they say that a guy is just a guy, usually they're dead wrong. And I'm not talking about just by a little bit. I'm talking about like they're impossibly bad. Again, like our Kansas State buddy who said Will Howard was going to get beat out and they told him to go fly a kite. And maybe they did. Maybe that's accurate. And I was like, well, I'm excited to get him. And you know why I'm excited to get Will Howard? And this is last December, because Ryan Day really he wanted him over Cam Ward. And Cam Ward's going to be the first pick in the draft. He wanted Will Howard. And again, for what we did, I'm not trading Will Howard for anybody. Not this past season. No way, no how. I mean, that kid, the leadership, the grit, the determination. I mean, that kid ain't sitting out any games. You crazy? Seth McLaughlin, universally regarded as ho-hum, stunk, bad snaps versus Michigan, the whole 9 years. I'm like, well, let's see what he does in our program. Let's see what he does with Mickey Marotti and Justin Fry. Because, like, again, I worked with Mickey. I love Mickey. I think Mickey is as good of a strength coach as ever lived. And he is he's a ball buster. He's tough as nails. He does great work with offensive linemen. Again, I lived it. I was in there 6 days a week, baby. When Urban took over and it was the killing fields every day at the Woody Hayes. It wasn't sunshine and lollipops like it was 10 years later. It was every day. It was 6 days a week. And it wasn't, it was mandatory. It was not mandatory, but it was mandatory. And that was, our big fat guys were in there on Saturdays, every Saturday, 7 a.m., cardio for an hour, all of them, because they were all fat and they all needed to get the fat off. So Mickey put the screws to them, and it was good. I had no complaints. I mean, those guys turned into Corey Lindsley, highest paid center ever, Norwell, highest paid guard ever at the time when they signed their deals. Jack Mewhort, second round pick, Taylor Decker, first rounder. So again, it was all worth it. But again, I think when Mickey gets a hold of these guys and you get them in the Chip Kelly scheme, and honestly, like Justin does a really good job of developing these guys. Again, it's not always perfect, but I mean, our young guys played great down the stretch versus good fronts. And the funniest thing is this Notre Dame front was like easy mode compared to those other teams. I'm like, I would play this Notre Dame team any day of the week. And again, they're tough, but they're limited physically. This ain't like the Texas guys or the Tennessee guys or the Penn State guys. I mean, those guys are all better. Hell, even the Michigan guys are way better than these guys, but it is what it is. All right, we're going to cap it. We're going to break off JJ right here. Of course, the foot flip heard around the world. Again, you got G. Scott, little motion here. JJ flips his feet. he's kind of got his feet one way and then he flips it real quick. Like he's at the Soul Train hitting the move right here. And of course, this corner who's really smart, of course, has to point and go crazy. And this is so funny, the communication, because he's going nuts because he's like, hey, they switched the feet. So that probably means he's going to turn this foot in and run a reverse over here because, yeah. And, and JJ knew what he was doing. He was messing with these guys and it worked. So, as soon as he takes this reverse step and he takes 1, 2, 3 hard steps, turn, this is the guy that's man coverage and he goes flying over here. They all go flying. The linebacker goes flying. It looks like they're running a running play. It looks like they're both pulling to get over there. And they get over there and then there's just nobody home. So again, this is talk about play design, baby. This is it. And again, this is kind of a max protection. This is a one-man route. You've got Ennis driving, occupying these guys so they can't get over there to JJ. Great job by him. Or excuse me, that's Mecca. Excuse me. Mecca's driving through here to occupy these guys. He's not the target here. Again, this is just to create confusion, running our little mesh concept looking deal. And then it's all JJ. And again, the beauty of this with Chip is, we do the same wind back stuff that we did earlier in the drive. And, but this turns into a full 7-man protection. These guys are sliding, and then you've got 2 edge guys. So if there's any leakage, this is like a big fortified wall versus any type of blitz that they can run because, Will's got to turn his back to the play. So, if someone leaks through here, they could kill Will and he could fumble and whatever. So he's got to wind back it. He's got to hide the ball. And then, JJ's got to do his little, crescent moon thing right here where he goes here and they, veers back out. But it's just so good. Again, this is why scheme is so important. And JJ's got to walk in and there's nobody within 5 yards of him inside the red zone. So Chip Kelly, I love you. You are the man. And again, I don't know when that was put in. I don't know if there was a part of me that would wonder, even though everything is different now, if they would watch the Alabama game, the championship game that we lost, because, we were playing Steve Sarkisian versus Texas. Obviously he was going to be the same play caller and he's very, very good. And, I was just wondering, did they remember that play? Because again, that was 4 years ago. And when you're Ryan Day and you're some of these, none of the coaches are still on the staff from that game, or barely any of them. And that's like a million years in football. It's like 4 years is a long time. But I was just wondering, how did they think to run that? Because that's what, Alabama got us on that exact same play. And, I would imagine that somebody went back and watched that and said, hey, this would be something to run with JJ because we've ran reverses with JJ. So, when you run something that's prolific, it always is great to put something off of the same action that isn't the same, obviously. And it can turn into to what that was. So, Nevada, your thoughts on the JJ deal, and we'll get into some super chats.
Well, no, the feet thing they'd been setting up for a long time, and it was so funny how he kind of did the exaggerated switch. They always go with the inside foot forward when they're on passing plays, and he'd always gone with the outside forward plays, and then they switch it up, and Notre feels discovered the secret code. And they're all screaming as they're running across the field. And then JJ walked out the backside. Scheme forever and ever. It was kind of like the Bowman offense in 05 to 06, wasn't it? You had a lot of plays like this, and there were a lot of deception, super secret stuff like this? Or did you just run it into the A gap every time?
Well, we had some. When Tress and Bowles were getting loose. You remember that that Michigan game, the Ted Ginn player who played tight end. He was the 4th guy on the line. That was crazy. Michigan State in 06, we ran 2 reverses in a row, which I don't know if anybody's ever done that. We were up there, and John L. Smith was on life support, and I think we pulled the plug on life support. I think he got fired right after that game, but we ran 2 reverses and we ran one to Ted and one to Gonzo. Back to back. We did creative stuff. It's just it's just not as much in the running game. And again, a lot of the running game stuff that was creative, it kind of started with Randy Walker and Kevin Wilson, and that's where Urban learned it. And that's, Urban's system was very creative. Not to the degree that Chip Kelly's is though. Chip Kelly, again, I love the motion. Anything that can mess with the defense and make the defense have to play slower and think more, I think is fantastic because it just makes it harder on them. You know, I mean, the defense dreams of reading keys and just nice and easy right in this frame. And okay, here's the double team. Okay, here comes the guard to block me. I'm gonna defeat that and shuck them and make the play. But like when there's a reverse coming this way and motion the tight end before, and you fake the handoff, run a naked, and when there's all these different things that can go through your head, it kills guys that can't process fast, and it kills guys that can process fast too. That's why I love what Chip does. I said it coming into this year, I was like, with the talent that we have and the scheme that he runs, like it's going to be very difficult to stop us. So we got 2,000-yard rushers, which I mean, Chip's running game stuff's incredible. So yeah, I don't know. I just love it. Like I said, I hope we have Chip next year. I got into my head, man. And again, I could be wrong. He could be gone by tonight, but I just can't see him leaving Ryan after 1 year. I mean, that'd be such a crappy thing to do. Cause I mean, like I said, Urban always had his 2-year role, unless it's for a huge promotion, like Halfley leaving to be a head coach. And I know that was under Ryan. Like there was always a 2-year kind of role. And, I think that a second year in this offense would be huge. And so I hope we get Chip back for another year. Cause again, I love watching his film. It's, oh my God, is it good? All right, let's get into some super chats. Appreciate you guys. Jared Brandon, what's up, brother? Hope you're having a great Thursday. Thanks for the 20, my bro, and thanks for being an ultra member as well. The scandal buzzing now is such a delicious cherry on top of OSU's clean natty. It's an extravaganza I can't get enough of. Nevada, as of today, what do you think are the penalties for cheat again? Nevada OH.
I'll
let you go.
You want me to answer that? Okay, I appreciate that. I'm going to go with. I think they're vacating all of 2021, 2022, and the first 7 games of 2023, which renders them ineligible for the national championship and the Big Ten championship, all 3 of those years, as well as the national in 2023, and then a 2-year bowl ban going forward. Show cause for Sharon Moore, scholarship reductions, huge fine, probation. That's how I see it.
That's how I see it. Because I mean, you got to have, if you're vacating those ones, you can't keep the titles. I mean, come on. Like if all the games are taken away, how are they going to let them still walk around and say that they're champions? What are you champions of? Being 0-0? I mean, I agree with you on everything. Show cause for Sharon. Be interesting to see if any of the other ancillary guys get show causes. A lot of them flooded the NFL. But Jay Harbaugh, what's his thing? Yeah. Again, that's why those guys all went to the NFL. And again, if there was a God, I mean, Roger Goodell would suspend those guys in the NFL because he made that big thing about with Tress when he suspended Tress for like 6 games when he went to the Colts. I mean, the NFL is not going to be a harbor for those who break the laws in college, and you can come up here and just skate and earn a living while your show cause is played out. But after Harbaugh got a 1-year show or 1-year suspension, whatever he got, like I was like, well, these guys are going to get something similar to that. I mean, that was for Cheeseburger Gate. That was for him lying about eating a cheeseburger at 6 a.m. at the Michigan Cafe or whatever it was, and I wasn't there. I was like, well, everyone said you were there and you ordered a cheeseburger and a milkshake at 6 a.m, whatever, cheeseburger and milk at 6 a.m, like a weirdo. So yeah, I think that what you said is where I'm at. I mean, there's no way to me, I don't think there's any way to keep the championship. I don't know how you can let them keep the Big Ten titles and the national championship when they cheated all the way through that, all the way up until that game in the season. And that should render them ineligible for a title. Jeffrey McDowell, thank you for the 5. Love the AVI of Jack Sawyer taking the flag. Jack is out in sunny Southern California right now training, the home of Nevadabuck. So he's having a good time getting ripped, jacked, and tan, getting ready for the combine, baby. Jeffrey McDowell, thanks for the 5. Love the show. Buckeye Nation is strong. Michigan sucks. Appreciate you, my man. Totally agree on all counts. And again, I love that photo of Jack. Good for him, man. Sean, thanks for the 5. Michigan Insider just posted that UM's projected offensive depth chart, and you can't help but laugh. I mean, it's almost uncomfortable how bad it is. Yeah, I mean, they are really bad, and if they got to start a freshman quarterback, then good luck. But I like where we're heading and the direction of our offensive line, and our offensive line is gonna be really good. Our running backs will be good. It really comes down to Julian Sane, and again, Julian Sane played with the South Florida Express guys, and he's got chemistry with JJ already. He's got chemistry with Ennis and Tate, and those guys. South Florida Express handpicks who they want to play quarterbacks. It's not like they're just from kids from Miami. Like, they fly out people from California to play on their 7-on-7 team if they're the best player in the country. So that's what they thought of Julian saying. He's the best quarterback in the country. Let's get him, because we already got the best receivers. We get the best quarterback. So it's not, South Florida Express is not just South Florida. And they got Julian saying. So tells me all I need to know. Nevada, your thoughts on Michigan's depth chart for next year?
Yeah, I mean, they're losing all their good players. I mean, they had 4 players that were worth a damn, and they're all gone. So, and their recruiting's been kind of mid. And I mean, like I said, I mean, and that's before the NCAA sanctions hit. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Michigan fan, man, you better have your good memories of 2023 because that's going to be taken from you, and the future looks terrible, and you got Sharon Moore to lead you. So, and again, I know he won this year, and they can say whatever, but I'll take my chances with Ryan Day and Sharon Moore anytime, and I think we'll come out on top more often than not.
Local, thank you for the 10. Let's start a petition to make Kirk our new O-line coach.
Yes.
No,
yes.
I don't want to be chained to the Woody Hayes desk all day.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I don't want to do it.
Bring back Barton. Barton.com.
The only way the dumb moron fringe of the fringe lunatics of the fan base could hate me more is if I was the line coach. It's the only way. So I just don't, I'd love to recruit. Like, I love recruiting. Like, I would love recruiting these kids, but I mean, Justin did a great job. And Tim Drevno and Mike Salini's off to he's UNLV's line coach with Corey Dennis now, who's the OSU hired him to be his line coach. And it'll be interesting. Justin interviewed for Chicago, and I'm sure that what he did down the stretch probably raised some eyebrows in a good way, in terms of the development. So, Justin's going to be a commodity, and I don't think he's got a contract, or his contract's almost up. So they're going to renegotiate him, and Mark Pantoni's contract's about to be up, so they got decisions to make. They got guys that are going to need probably raises, and it'll be interesting. But yeah, I love coaching and talking offensive line. I don't like being enslaved to the Woody Hayes, so that is not my cup of tea. RJ, Ranjit, appreciate you. Thanks for the 5. Make sure you guys follow our guy. Type in Pink Floyd piano cover artist into the YouTube search bar. Find our guy, subscribe, like the videos, leave him some comments. He's on here every night, and he is the man. Appreciate you, brother. Best guess, please. Would OSU have won the Natty this season with any other quarterback who played in college football this season? Nevada OH. Nevada mute Buck. Nevada.
I-O.
There's Nevada. Nevada can't. The touch screen on his phone doesn't work when he's got chocolate syrup all over it. So
it's true. It's true. I'm eating wings right now. The wing sauce got all over my screen.
It's all over the screen. There's like sweet and sour honey on there. It's like sticking to the button, and he can't do it. I can't do it. Can we just get done? This is the last super chat.
I pushed it.
Like, use your nose to do it.
I
was like, help. Oh my God. I would say if we would have gotten Cam, because Cam Ward was the guy. I mean, Cam Ward wanted to come here, and we turned him down for real hard. I mean, I think, to be fair, like, Cam Ward, we could have won one with. I mean, I think he's a good leader, and now he sat out, which that still bugs me, but he'll be, obviously drafted as the first pick or second pick in the draft. So I think we could win it with Cam, because he was speedy, but I don't think he's as good of a leader as well, and I don't think he's as tough as well. He's definitely not as big as well. So I don't know. I mean, Will's a special player and had the best season in Ohio State history for a quarterback. So What are your thoughts, Nevada? Could we have won with any other quarterback in college football? Could we win with the Natty?
I mean, it would have been interesting. It would have been interesting to see, but I mean, clearly, this was the guy that Ryan Day wanted, and Ryan Day wanted Will Howard. He chose him above everybody else, and I think at this point in time, his judgments on quarterbacks. I mean, who's better at it? I mean, nobody. I mean, there's nobody's better than Ryan Day when it comes to quarterback evaluations. And said it before, but I do want to say it again. His decision to jettison a quarterback who was a top 15, top 10 quarterback in the country, returning starter, 3 years in the program, completely toss him aside and go to a transfer quarterback for his money year at Ohio State with the best roster in Ohio State history has got to go down in history as one of the gutsiest calls that I've used to, like, gutsiest move I've ever seen, Maverick. It's like that was an unbelievable. I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that, and he did it, and he won a national championship with it, and probably because of it. So Ryan Day, whatever credit Ryan Day gets for this national championship, whatever accolades, raises, extensions, he deserves it. He deserves it 10 times over for if he did nothing else other than that move, because I've never seen anything quite like it, and it was remarkable.
Yeah, it was incredible. I mean, like I said, this was to run that gauntlet and that playoff run, and hey, I'm so happy. I'm really happy for him, his family. I wish that the people that did some of the heinous stuff to him could be, sent to that prison in El Salvador forever. That'd be the greatest thing of all time. But here we are. And again, that's why we always say positive. Again, you got to remember, Nevada and I were called both here and on our own message board sunshine pumpers. You guys are just sunshine pumpers. You guys, always positive about the team, even when we should be like just beating them unmercilessly. I'm like, well, we're still the most talented team. Like, I mean, I texted that to Jack Sawyer. I was like, Jack, like, I know that you're in the dumps because you guys lost to Michigan again and it sucks, but like, you still have a chance to win a national championship. You guys still have the most talented team. And even, FanDuel and DraftKings, which again, they're not Kirk, Mr. Ohio State guy. They have you as the number 2 team in the tournament behind Oregon. And it's really close. So everyone still thinks that you got a real good shot to win this thing. It's not like they lost that game. They went down to being, plus 10,000. They're like plus 450 after the Michigan loss. So I was like, you guys got better players. And I said all year, I was like, this Oregon loss will be the best thing that ever happened to them. And sure as can be, we show up to play Oregon. Oregon is fat, happy, and terrible. And we roll in there and just dog walk them all over the field. I was like, told you guys. Like, I mean, if we would have beat Oregon, I don't think that would have been a good thing. Like in the beginning of the year, I thought losing, like our guys, they showed up nasty and violent. And I mean, they were out to prove a point, and they were embarrassed that first game. And nothing heightens the senses of preparation like getting embarrassed. So those guys showed up in a big win. It was awesome. I was real happy for them. All right, Nevada, let's wrap this thing up. Any final thoughts?
No, the Michigan saga, it's fun to watch the national media kind of catch on to what we've been talking about now for 16 months or so. But slowly but surely they're kind of cluing in, and the worst is absolutely yet to come, because people have only seen maybe 10-15% of the stuff, and wait till the whole thing comes on. That's when the avalanche starts for Michigan. That's when it starts to get really uncomfortable. And we win the national championship and they get sent to the cornfield. Life doesn't get any better than that. So great to be a Buckeye.
It was a great time to be a Buckeye. All right, I appreciate you guys as always. Thank you guys for kicking on with us. We guys had a good time as always. Something I'm going to ask for you guys to do that's super simple, and I ask every night, is if you could follow us on Apple Podcasts, that'd be huge. I know I say that every night. Super easy to do. Again, I'm going to show you how to do it. You just get on the podcast app, you find it, type in podcasts. It's this little purple doohickey right there. It's a little purple app. It's a little fuzzy up in the corner. And you just click search right at the top, search, type in Buckeye Scoop, Buckeye Scoop, hit search. There we are, right at the top. And you click subscribe and follow. Follow the show, subscribe to the show. Super easy way to help us. Super easy way to help us grow something that we've been trying to grow. And again, I appreciate you guys so much for all that you guys do. So if you guys enjoy our content, please leave us a like, click subscribe. Let's click that little alert bell. Again, I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys always for being on here. Again, it's always a pleasure to talk to you guys. The chat's always awesome. Thank you to all you guys that are in here every night. All the regulars of the Scoop family. Love you guys to death. And this thing rolls because of you guys. So we appreciate that. So again, the weekend's kind of starting off. Thursday's my favorite day of the week. So the weekend is rolling now. But I just appreciate you guys. So with that being said, thank you so much, Buckeye Nation. And thank you, Scoop family. I just appreciate you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. And just see you guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow. So you guys have a good night. Go Bucks.